and rolled up trouser legs to accusations of nepotism, bullying, the repression of reform and policing, and all kinds of things, the Freemasons' reputation has not always been positive. But are those stereotypes justified? They've done a lot, for example, over the past decade or more to deal with the perceptions of secrecy. Many members of the Freemasons world do charity work. We see that the Irish Freemasons, for example, raise about €2 million every year for charity, and now Freemasons in Northern Ireland celebrating this year 150 years of their activities here. Do you think Freemasons are a force for good in our society? 03030 80 55 55. We will debate that in a moment, but let's have a word first with Dr. David Harrison, who's a Masonic historian, archaeologist. He's written a number of books on the history of Freemasonry. David, welcome.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon to you. Where does it all start? Where does the story of Freemasonry begin?
Well, it can be traced to the stonemasons, really, of the medieval period when they were building the cathedrals, and obviously they were building these houses of God. They knew geometry. They started to get involved in local politics in certain areas like York and Chester, and basically, when the Reformation happened, they started to get speculative members involved. And so we see Elias Ashmole, who was an astrologer and a fellow of the Royal Society. He became a Freemason in 1646. And so he was one of the first recorded English speculators.
What's a speculative member?
Speculative as opposed to operative, really. The operative kind of masonry are the people that actually, the workmen that build the cathedrals.
Right, like a craft guild, the original craft guild.
That's right, yeah.
And then these speculative people then take those ideas and turn them into sort of more philosophical perceptions of the world, that kind of thing.
Philosophical kind of view of Freemasonry, building the world, making a better place, communing with God, even. You know, some of the 18th century rites, Masonic rites that developed in Europe. I wrote about this in my last book, where they were more to do with aiming to commune with God again. You know, so. It's that kind of philosophical, spiritual bridge, if you like.
Historically, is it mostly a Protestant series of organisations across the world?
No. It's even bigger at the moment in the South American countries, the Southern American countries, Brazil and Argentina and places like that. Mexico, which strongly Catholic, and they celebrate the revolutionary heroes like Bernardo O'Higgins, for example, in Chile. There's an Irish connection there. And other Catholic countries in the Republic of Ireland.
Why has Freemasonry historically required some belief in the divine, in God, of its members?
Well, it was all about that was its roots, getting in contact with God again, building God's world, and building these cathedrals in a metaphorical sense, if you like. Going back to the first temple of God, the Temple of Solomon, where these Masons were figuratively building the temple to make the world a better place. So its roots are there, in biblical narrative.
David, fascinating. Thank you very much, sir. David Harrison, who's an historian and a Freemason himself. Douglas Gray's also with us, the Grand Master for Ireland. How are you doing, Douglas? Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much indeed.
And Dawn Foster, Guardian columnist Dawn Foster. How are you doing, Dawn? Welcome.
I'm good, thank you.
Dawn, let's start with you, because this has nowadays is perceived by a lot of people, Freemasonry, as simply men who get together for social time They might engage in some kind of arcane rituals, perhaps connected to the Temple of Solomon and the like. But they do some good work in the community. They raise money for charity. What could possibly be wrong with